Hello, Andrew here, and welcome to another YouTube video. This time I'm going to be talking about my latest composite, which is Gynoid, and just going through that a little bit about how I got to the end result, starting from the initial shoot and the ideas behind it and everything like that. So without any further ado, let's move into Photoshop. So here we have the finished image, which you may well have seen, and this was a fairly labour intensive composite. There was an awful lot that went into this this composite, and so we'll start off by talking about the idea. Now, I've seen a lot of robot-based kind of composite images, and I always wanted to do one of my own, but I always wanted to do something just slightly different from everyone else, for obvious reasons, to make it my own, but also for aesthetic reasons, because okay, so this was inspired by a few different things. One of the most well-known is an artwork by Michael O, and this is that, and it's Miss Smosh, the model, and this is a very, very well-known image, and one of the first ones that went really popular. Great image. I love the look, and it looks great. There are others. I mean, this was a poster for the Surrogates film with Bruce Willis, and here you can see obviously the girl's a robot in that. So I did want to do my own kind of version, but what I often found was that when I was looking at what other people were doing with these is, for instance, on Michael O's here, you can't see much kind of going on in between kind of the plates of skin armor or whatever it is. That it's just black with a little bit of hints of something. But a lot of the ones that I'd seen done by other kind of retouchers, they're using kind of cogs from images of clocks and that kind of thing, and it just never really did it for me. So I wanted to do my own, and so I was looking back through some photos. I did a shoot a while ago with this model. Her name is Ruby True. She's a great model, and we did some shots in this kind of black latex dress, and I did this years ago, and I can't exactly remember what I wanted to do with these images, but I think this was after I had seen that Michael O image, so I was doing something along those lines, but I never got round to kind of doing anything with it. I think these were shot back in maybe 2009 or even earlier, but it was only just recently I thought, well, I'll use one to do this image with. So that is what I did. So here's the image that I chose, and so I chose one which I thought would work quite well. One of the ones without her wearing the gloves and stockings in the other shots, so you can see more skin, because obviously I wanted to turn her into a robot. So as with all composites, you always start off, so I started off by cutting them out. I wanted to create a kind of sci-fi look to this, so I started off with a kind of grey background and added some textures in to start giving it a kind of more kind of photoreal look. This is actually just a vector kind of knots and crosses type square, but by putting that in and putting a bevel emboss on it, which you can see there, it turns it into kind of, floor tiles. And then some dodging and burning, just try and add some depth here, as you can see. So once I'd started working on the background. Some of that shading had actually been added later on, but obviously the main thing is I needed to turn her into a robot. So I did that. I started off, I don't have that layer anymore, but I started off by literally just sketching where I wanted to cut out the parts of her body where you could see through to the mechanics underneath. So literally just with the pen tool, with the brush tool, I just sketched over the top just lightly to figure out where I wanted to cut her out. And so I kind of drew these shapes on, and then as you can see, if I just disable this layer mask, I created a mask over the top, and I then just rubbed out, I just painted in the areas I wanted to get rid of, so hiding those areas. Now you can see on here I've done some naughty boy, I did some destructive editing, which you should never do, but it's for myself, so I wasn't too fussed. So you can see around the edges here, obviously I wanted this to look like kind of plates of metal, or that kind of thing. So I created, I dodged and burnt around the edges, and for the metal underneath, it's basically a black kind of copy of the model, and then with the skin layer turned on, I basically just painted in. I used some reference from various kind of robots and robot artworks that I liked, and just went round and kind of just painted in kind of how I wanted it to look, and that's pretty much all I did. You can see now some of these some of these kind of plates, they really should wrap around the body, so I created a layer underneath to make them kind of wrap around. I believe these are the pipes on the back of her body, because I wanted her to be kind of plugged in. How did I do that? Very easy. I created one kind of pipe, one master pipe here, which you can see, which was dead straight. Added a bevel and emboss, a texture, and then used the puppet warp tool to bend it into shape. And there's some dodging and burning layers there, and then a little bit of these kind of spikes coming off. I wanted to kind of had kind of lights on the end of those, and I wanted to add some detail to the dress, so I kind of did a HDR filter on there to add some detail to the dress. Again there. That layer there is just desaturating a little bit. I added a socket on the hip with another pipe, and then added in a kind of light on the edge. These are all dodging and burning layers. Just adding some shadows in down here. Hue saturation just to bring the colours down because it was a bit strong. Now I wanted to add some text, kind of computer text effects to this, so I used the 3D part of Photoshop, created a 3D cylinder, made it black, and then put it on a screen mode, and so the black disappeared and you could see through the cylinder to the text, which was wrapped all the way around the cylinder. A little bit of 3D. I'm still exploring 3D. It's great, but it's something very new. I'm still exploring it a little bit. So some more text effects. They're very, very faint. You can't see much of them. There, and some kind of computer screens going on just there. Some more text kind of effects going on. You can see these little kind of motes of kind of dust. There's a technique that Glyn demonstrated recently on one of his videos of how to do this. Basically, on a rainy night, you get your camera, you point it up at the sky, you lock the focus a few meters in front of you. With a pop-up flash or an on-camera flash, you take a photo, and it lights up the water droplets. And when you put them on an image like this, they look like kind of motes of dust, which works quite well. Some more kind of dodging and burning, another hue saturation. That layer there, if I solo it, you can see it's a HDR layer, and that's the finished thing. So this was an awful lot of work. This composite, there was a lot that went into this. Certainly one of the more involved composites that I've done, and I hope that just gives you a little bit of insight into what's involved in this particular composite. So obviously I'll be doing more tutorials and little tips and tricks for Photoshop in coming episodes. So stay tuned. If you've got any questions, anything specific you want me to go into a lot more detail with, obviously this is just a very quick overview. Let me know, comment below or on my Facebook page. And that's it for this one. So please subscribe. I mean, I'll be doing lots more videos in the weeks to come. I'll try to do one every week. And so please subscribe, and that would help me out hugely, and I look forward to hearing comments from you and all that kind of thing. And finally, if you want to support my work in any way, then check out the Patreon campaign that I have, and you can help me out, and I can do much more of these composites, and so check out the link to that below. And that's it. So thank you very much, and I'll see you soon.